Well, it's 6:30, and I think in the interest of keeping this on time, that we will start. Welcome to all of you. We're so happy you could join us for this 2020 Urbanna Forum. The purpose of the forum is so that people can get introduced to all of the candidates, know what their positions are on certain issues that are being faced, and get a better idea of who they would like to vote for in the upcoming election. I want to let you know that all candidates were invited to participate in this forum. We've got many, many questions. There was a call for questions, and we got more questions than we can use. So don't please be disappointed if we couldn't use your question. Now, the procedure. I am going to mute everyone initially.
Can't hear anything.
And as you are required to come in for questioning, I will unmute you. And please keep all the people who are joining right now, please keep the mute off so that we don't have any kind of background music, background noise coming in. So the way that the meeting is going to run is each candidate will have 5 opportunities to speak. There will be an initial 2-minute session in which the candidates can identify themselves, give a little bit of background and why they're running for the office, so you get to know them better. And then there will be a series of questions. Each candidate will get 3 different questions to respond to. And then when the questioning is over, there will be an opportunity for each candidate to give a wrap-up and summarize what they are, what they stand for, and so everybody will be on the same ticket. So if you think about 5 different sessions and the number of candidates we have, which is 10, it's going to be 110 minutes just for all the questioning and sessions. So I would say that this entire meeting is going to run just under 2 hours, just so you know what you're in store for. So with no further ado, I am going to begin with the candidates introducing themselves. It will be, I have a list of all the candidates, and I will vary where I start, and obviously that will vary where we end up. And it won't always be started at the same place for each round of questioning. So we're going to start with introductions. There'll be 2 minutes. Now let me explain how that happens. There'll be a 30-second warning, as I indicated in my messages to you. And the warning is going to sound like this. Okay. And then after that warning, 30 seconds will go by. And at the end of 30 seconds, you'll get another warning sound, which will be the same one. And then you will be muted, and we'll move on to the next candidate. We have to do this to give everybody the same amount of time and be fair to everyone and get through with all the questioning, okay? So let's start with introductory statements, and if the timer is ready, we are going to start with Marjorie Austin.
Okay, my name is Marjorie Austin. I live on Howard Street in Urbana. I've lived here for 10 years. And I'd like to be part of the town council. Again, I've already was on at one time a couple years ago so that we can have a transparent government, so that we utilize the volunteers within our community. There's been a lot of folks that I've spoken with that feel like volunteers are kind of just pushed to the side. Volunteers are very important in our town. And when we first moved here, this was a happy a town. People loved being here, but now it's more closed to volunteers, and we're just not friendly anymore. And I feel like being on council again, I can work one-on-one, hand in hand with the volunteers to make our town a better place to be.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Thank you.
I'm Larry Chowning. I live at 126 Wadland Street.
I've lived on Wyland Street. I'm 71. I've lived on Wyland Street all but 4 years of my life. I'm a general assignment reporter for the Southside Sentinel. And one of the main reasons that you folks ought to vote for me is that I attended Urbanna Elementary School. And I also graduated from Middlesex High School. And I think there was one other fellow that graduated Middlesex High School that didn't mention that, and that's Steve Hollberg. I've also, oh, by the way, I graduated from the University of Richmond. Dee and I have lived here since we got married in 1973. We raised 3 children and we have 6 grandchildren. I'm a member of the Urbanna United Methodist Church and spent a lot of time in Middlesex County and Urbanna, and I love the place.
Yes. Okay. We're going to move on to Bill Goldsmith. Will be the next one. Bill. Okay.
Hi, I'm Bill Goldsmith. I've been on the council for the last 2 years. Originally, I was from Akron, Ohio, and then I moved to Northern Virginia, where I was a veterinary practitioner for 35 years. My undergraduate degree was in economics from Miami University in Ohio, same degree, strangely enough, as Paul Ryan. As a kid growing up, my mother was from a little town of Robert Lee, Texas, town of 900 people in West Texas, and we went there routinely on summer vacations, and it gave me an appreciation for small town life. In the mid 2000s, 2004 territory, I separated from my first wife and reintroduced myself to my current wife, Elizabeth, and we now have 2 young children. Even though I'm 71, I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and we started sharing a house in town with Elizabeth's sister and Elizabeth's parents. And in 2013, we bought our own house and Elizabeth moved down here full-time with the kids in 2015.
2 people in the waiting.
I have embedded myself in the council. I think I've been pretty active, and with the water committee, there are some things that are moving forward. I would like to hang on and see those things through so that we can accomplish those tasks and get this town some new wells and get a path to keeping the infrastructure working.
Okay. Thank you very much, Bill. We move now to Diane Gravatt. Diane, you will be the next one, and we need to get you unmuted here.
I'm Diane Gravatt. I'm the current mayor here in Urbanna. We've lived in town for over 20 years. It's been a good trial run here this year, the past 2 years. The council has accomplished a great deal, and I want to continue to finish up the work that we've started. So I think it's important. I have been a military wife for 31 years. And then my husband retired and went to work in Northern Virginia. I stayed here and worked. I have a counseling degree, so I worked in the prison system for a while and then worked with inmates that were released into the community. So I have an idea about some of those kinds of things. So I'm interested in being back in, continuing to stay with the council and help them move through the tasks that we have on hand, including the wells and all of the things that we have going on, the parks and all of that. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We move now to Barbara Hartley.
Hi, I'm Barbara Hartley. I'm running for mayor because I have become very frustrated by the leadership of the recent past. It feels to me like, except for the water committee and a couple of other things, we've been moving backwards, and certainly not with the service-oriented transparency and responsiveness that Urbanna's residents and businesses deserve. My husband, Cloyd Wiley III, grew up here, and I'll tell everyone that I see that Urbanna is the hometown I never had because I was born into a military family, into the Marine Corps, as a matter of fact. I'd moved 9 times and attended 8 schools before graduating from Quantico High School. And then I later graduated from Madison College, now JMU. I did some graduate work at Lynchburg College. And then in 1989, I accidentally got another degree from Central Virginia Community College. That's kind of a long story we're not going to go into right now. And for several years, Cloyd and I weekended here. imagining that when we made the permanent move in 2007, we'd be sailing, writing, painting, and photographing. But our plan also included opening a gallery that we were planning on showing and selling our own work in. So we opened it actually after a year of pulling apart and putting back together the 202 Virginia Street with our own hand. Back to operating the business made us recognize that town government really was not business friendly, and it didn't seem to have a clue about economic development. So that's what got me into public service. When I first ran for council 8 years ago, I was already serving on HARB and was the chairman of the newly created museum committee. I already had business experience in economic development and knew that I had something valuable to bring to the table. And that has been my focus and passion ever since.
Thank you, Barbara. The next one up is Steve Hollberg.
Hi, my name's Steve Hollberg. I live at 326 Howard Street with my wife, Wanda. I have a son named Ellery. Both Wanda and Ellery are originals from Urbanna. I'm the president of Stephen S. Hollberg CPA PC. Been in business in Urbana since 2008 as a corporation. We moved here in 1996, so I've been here over 24 years. I'm 64, have 2 degrees, William and Merri, political science, a BA from VCU in accounting. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Virginia, do audits, reviews, compilations, and provide tax services. I'm a member of the Virginia Society of CPAs, the AICPA. I served as Urbana's mayor 2 terms through 2018 and on town council 1 term. I've served as past treasurer of the Urbana Business Association, the Churchill Association. I've served as past president and vice president in Richmond. I've also served on the Middle Peninsula Planning District Commission and the Middle Peninsula Public Access Authority. So this is a partial list of things we accomplished as a team while I was mayor. We renovated the town pool to keep it open and restored the pool reserve by $36,000. We replaced the town streetlights with LED units to save $8,000 annually. We replaced the old water meters with state-of-the-art digital water meters. We replaced the water lines on Morrison as recommended by the Dewberry study. We applied for and received grant permission to draw funds for the dredging of the town marina. We contracted and oversaw the renovation of the town hall. We paid down debt, reduced uncollectibles, and set up procedures and safeguards to allow us to have financial statements by the 5th working day of each month. We also built the waterfront reserve to replace the backup well shut down by state mandate. I will encourage taxpayers to actively engage and express concerns at work sessions, public meetings, and through other media. My mission is to encourage greater transparency and financial responsibility back to the taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Okay, we move now to Mary Hanson King.
Okay. So when I moved to Urbana in 2014, for me, it felt like coming home. I grew up in a small town and experienced firsthand the impact of town governance on businesses like my father's, and how town investments shape the lives of residents and visitors, from children to senior citizens, to those with resources and those without resources. So who is Mary Hanson? I have a woman-owned small business in Virginia called Peninsula Mediation and ADR. That's Alternative Dispute Resolution. I provide facilitators, mediators, conflict coaches for federal agencies and businesses throughout the United States and internationally. I resolve conflict for a livelihood and facilitate other people's negotiations on a daily basis. I'm a member of Christ Church Episcopal Saluda and a proud member of the choir there. I'm a mother and a stepmother and a grandmother, and family really means everything to me. And as I talk with Urbana residents, business owners, and visitors, I hear common themes. We want a quaint yet thriving historic town. We want Urbana to be that town that welcomes new families during uncertain times. We want to work together to have a town that provides recreation, inviting waterways, and business development that showcases our important role in American history. I want to help make Urbana that place. One of the biggest challenges for this town council is chronic inertia and lack of progress on too many issues. I have decades of experience working with teams and groups that need to be more efficient and effective in decision-making and action planning. As a new member of the council, I will work to build strong and supportive relationships between the town and important constituents, like local businesses and Middlesex County. I'm not a particularly partisan person. I'm on everyone's team as long as they are intent upon representing and enacting what you need.
Thank you. Rodney McMordie, McMordie is
Right,
next.
he's over
Rod?
there. Yep, I see him.
My name is Rod McMordie. I live at 51 Wilding Street. Everybody remembers my house burning down 2 years ago. Been in town for 20 years, since 2000. I've lived here. I've seen it go from a population of over 600 to a population closer to 200, just from the bad management of the town in the early 2000s. I'd like to see that fixed. I worked for Bay Design Group for 7 years, did design work for most of the waterfront around here, and ended up losing my job because of the town council trying to back Ray Watson for the condos down here. And I stood up against the company I was working for, lost my livelihood over it. I work for Sidner Hydro right now. We're looking at doing the wells, redoing your wells here. So there's that. A little bit of personal background. Joined the Army in 1987, went to Ranger School, participated in Operation Just Cause in Panama, participated in Operation Desert Storm, did 16 years, found out I was diabetic, and couldn't pass a physical anymore. So here I am. So that's a little bit about me. You know,
Okay.
I would like to see the town thrive.
All right. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
The next one up is Bill Smith.
My name is Bill Smith, and I'm a current town council member seeking re-election for the 2021-22 term. After working in construction for industry for 27 years, I retired to Urbanna and have been a resident for 8 years. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran and a graduate of West Virginia University. Family ties to Urbanna started in the early 1930s when my aunt moved here. This is where she met and married my uncle, and together they ran a beauty and barbershop on Cross Street. I don't know how many times current long-term residents have commented that my uncle cut his hair or my aunt used to do their perms. It's great to know that my family has contributed to the fabric of this town. I'm running for re-election to complete what I have started in the upgrades to our water system infrastructure. As I once said to a fellow council member, if you can't fix something that has been mismanaged for 20 years in a year and a half. His comment, make that 40 years. I will also strive to move forward with other issues as identified by the council. That is the job, and I accept that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, the first question, Steve. What is the best way for town residents to communicate concern about specific issues to council members?
I think the best way for them to communicate directly to council members is to approach them one-on-one at first with whatever problems or concerns they have, and see if there's a way to perhaps escalate that problem or analyze at an early point whether or not it's really a problem or it's just a failure to observe what's really going on. So it kind of depends on the problem. I've had people approach me one-on-one and raise their concerns, and we've taken it up at work session. I've invited them to work sessions when I was mayor, and we tried to work out whatever issues they'd raised. This actually led to establishing a procedure with the water system, for example, reimbursing people for any repairs that they might have done to their side of the water system if we were able to alert them and they were able to respond quickly. And that was a great response by us, in establishing a new procedure that had not been implemented before. And even the mayor has taken advantage of that when her water system broke down, and she was able to get a rebate as well. So, it depends whether you're, a person with concerns about ramps, for example. We've had some people with concerns about the ramp. And they have to understand that we have a lot of different priorities to face with the town, limited resources and limited people. But maybe there's a way to escalate their concern to council for consideration.
Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Okay, we go now to Merri Hanson. Next question. Given the plan that has been proposed for Tabor Park, what would you do to expedite the implementation of the plan? What part of the plan should take priority?
Okay. So I think as far as the plan for Tabor Park is concerned, and again, I've not sat on the council before. I have reviewed the plan and I am stymied by why there seems to be a lack of forward movement in completing the playground. I think that needs to be completed and finished, and that we need to come up with a plan even during these COVID times for families to access that. I think that the pool situation, I think we need to proceed with a study to be able to ascertain whether we want to have an enclosed indoor pool or to keep it an open pool. The community counts on it, and I want that to be able to proceed. And again, for citizens and possibly through a cooperative agreement with the county, the Y, and other entities to be able to actually use the park. And so I think those would be the first two things that I would want to see done. People were terribly disappointed when the tennis courts were removed. I think we need to see that done again, and that is not a tremendous expense to get those tennis courts back up. We need recreational opportunities for citizens and for visitors. So those are my suggestions.
Okay, thank you very much, Merri. We move now to Rod McMordie for the next question. What suggestions or ideas do you have to make the town marina more useful and attractive for residents and their families? You're on.
Well, the boat ramp needs to be lengthened. That's the big thing. You back a boat down in there and you got to back your trailer off the boat ramp. Need to do something about parking. Originally, it was supposed to be, for residents, and you were supposed to take your boat trailer back home. People don't do that anymore. You look down there and there's boats or trucks and trailers parked everywhere. We need to kind of put a stop on that. As far as I know a lot of transient boaters that come into town, come in and you can't get in the shower. You can't get into the laundry. Everything's always locked up. One of the reasons why they want to come here is because we have that kind of stuff, but then they can't get to it. So make it a little more open.
Okay. Thank you, Rod. All right. The next question will be for Bill Smith. How can we improve communication regarding town services such as trash pickup and other events?
Well, that's a good question. One, maybe we should publicize it. Number one, of all dates that there won't be any trash pickup or anything of that nature, where things are disrupted because of holidays or anything else like that. Publicizing it's one way. We could also do a reverse 911 and tell everybody, off their phones that trash will not be picked up on Friday. It'll be moved till Monday. We can do a lot of different things in the communication part of it. The reverse 911 we pay for, I think it's a good idea to utilize it as much as possible to let the residents of the town know what's going on.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll go to Marjorie Austin for the next question. What new ideas do you have to make Urbanna a day trip destination? That is a destination for residents of nearby cities and counties. Yeah,
That's a good question. I think that working with Virginia's for Lovers, working with the Artisans Trail, and that type of thing. We have a love sign that's being worked on right now with myself and a couple other resident volunteers. I think getting our what we have to offer through Virginia's for Lovers, the Artisans Trail, and the oyster trail. And having someone that will actually work on that on a consistent basis to let everyone know what is happening, and to also keep the website, our government website, updated monthly, even weekly if we need to.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're going to try for Larry. We live in a historic town where change often happens slowly. This can be good, but at times it can be ineffective. What contributions can new, diverse voices bring to expedite council performance?
Diversity is extremely important to town government. And I've talked to you all a lot of times about we need younger folks on council. We need women on council. I wish we had some African Americans in town, but we don't. They should also be on council. That's the kind of change I think we need as much as anything. But we also need one of the areas that we have the future may not be so bright is our commercial end of our community. And a lot of times town government doesn't think about the stores and the businesses in town as much as maybe they should. We think about that meals tax we get every so often from restaurants, but we don't always look for ways to better businesses. We need to keep our core businesses. And those core businesses mean our liquor store, our grocery store, our drugstore, things that have made us a town and things that shouldn't change. Now, we need to be looking for change in other ways from a commercial standpoint so that we can find stores that will survive in our community, generate income, generate jobs, make the town more significant in a lot of ways than really what it is today. I guess that's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you very much. We go now to Diane Gravatt for the next question. How might you, as the mayor, go about gathering input for identifying projects, concerns, and improvements that are important to town residents, businesses, and organizations?
Well, I think that we need to communicate, certainly. We have times for that to happen in the council meetings. And I think the one-on-one is a great way to do that. I think that we need to be able to have people come speak with us and be able to do that. So that, I think that's one way. We have many ways that people can contact the council. We all have phone numbers, we all have government email, and you can reach us at any of those points. I think it's important that we do that and that we're able to meet with people and talk with them. I think it's important that it be positive and that it be well thought through. And I think that as the mayor, my job is to promote the council to look at those issues. The council makes the decisions, the mayor does not. And so it's up to the council to make the decisions to do what they want to do in terms of businesses and recreation and any of the other things that go on in the town. So I think bringing it to the council is an important way. Get in touch with your council members, pick them wisely, and get involved.
Okay, we're moving now to the next mayoral candidate, Barbara Hartley. What do you view as the most important duties and responsibilities of the mayor position?
Well, first of all, I see the mayor as a team leader. There are 7 people on town council, which means there are 7 votes. No one person should have more sway than anyone else, but the team leader can be someone who facilitates getting ideas out of other people and helping to fill them out. Mayor can also work more closely, I believe, with the town staff. But I think probably you need to be in a leadership role where you are really thinking about being accessible to the populace, to be proactive as far as economic development goes. And economic development includes recreation, it includes quality of life issues, it includes ways to generate or attract more business to town and therefore more families, because you're not going to get more families unless you have some employment opportunities, and that's part of economic development. It is a large and varied field. I think more than anything, though, you need to be accessible. I have a business in town for years, for the past 8 years while I've been on town council. People just walk in and they come up to me and they tell me what's bothering them, what they'd like to see happen. And I think we should all be equally affordable or equally available to people. Now, sometimes when people come to me and they say they have a problem or a concern, of course, I always want to hear them. And if there's something to be looked up or investigated that they've told me, I like to do that. But I also like to encourage them to come to the meetings and voice it themselves. It's very frustrating when people come to you with a concern and they won't bring it themselves, and you end up standing up there doing it and they've disappeared. So I kind of agree with Diane there that you need to encourage people.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's the first round of questions, and we move now to the second round. And in the second round, we are going to start with Bill Smith. Do you feel that Urbanna has adequate police coverage and protection? Why or why not?
Tell you the truth, no, I do not think that we have adequate police protection, nor do I think we need a lot of it. We do need to have them patrol our streets. I think that we are part of the county. We pay county taxes. I think that we deserve to have a patrol go through the town occasionally and take care of any issues that may come about. There's not many issues other than a lot of people, I've heard the complaints. Cross Street, Rappahannock Avenue, speeders, continuously 40, 50 miles an hour down the road. I've made the suggestion that we should get VDOT to do the study and put in what they call speed humps, not speed bumps, but speed humps to slow the vehicles down. And one thing, we have to work with VDOT and the Sheriff's Department, and maybe we can get something done there.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. Okay, the next one will be Rod McMordie. It appears that the town's support of economic development has been limited to providing some modest funds to various organizations to promote events that attract tourism revenue. What might council do to promote long-lasting economic development from a business and significant revenue generation standpoint?
Well, it kind of depends upon what kind of business you're looking for. You know, I mean, if you're looking for boat builders or you're looking for restaurants, you know, it's a restaurant, you know, you just gotta, I think the meal taxes are a little too high, you know, or they're just too much. Taxes on the boats down here in the marinas, they're too much. Most of the people take their boats and they take them to Hampton come tax time, so they don't have to pay a town tax on their boat. You know, do something to support that stuff so that, you know, marinas aren't losing monthly, you know, slip fees or what have you. There's something to be done. As far as long-term economic development, I don't know. I haven't really considered it that much. I do know we need to get something in here, but like one of the other questions you asked or that somebody else answered, we need to figure out what works in town, what'll work here. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Rod. Okay, the next one up is Merri Hanson. Our town is precious to all of us, and many of us would be happy to volunteer time and talent to help get things done. How might town council support and help coordinate community volunteers who seek to keep Urbanna vibrant?
Excellent question. I think one of the things that the town council could do and the town office could do is to have documents at the ready to facilitate volunteers actually volunteering their time, unlike what happened in Waterman's Park, where it took 4 to 5 months to develop a 3-page waiver that would have scared away most sensible volunteers. And that's just, to me, that's just wrong. I think we need to welcome volunteers. We could even have someone on council or some people, some committee, I don't know, to harness the intelligence and the ideas and the creativity of volunteers. And shame on us for not welcoming them already. We need to make it happen.
Thank you very much, Merri.
Okay.
We move now to Steve Hollberg. What do you think can be done to improve relations between the town of Urbanna and Middlesex County?
So I'm glad you asked that. One of the things that I did in my tenure as mayor, and this is an example for anybody, I'm just not saying that I'm the only person that can do this type of thing, but you got to attend the Middlesex County meetings. The meeting that I attended when I was mayor and also trustee of the Tabor Trust Fund was to go to the county because I was very disappointed with the response time of the rescue squad. And you'll remember that not only Dale Taylor here in town, but also Chick Silver and some other key people in our community and outside our community were having to wait extraordinarily long lengths of time for rescue squad service back under my tenure. And I challenged the county. I went down to the county meeting and I challenged the supervisors to start poking at that issue and find out what the problem was. And what resulted from that was a re-engineering of the rescue squad so that it was located or facilitated, managed under the Deltaville branch. And what happened was the response times were cut dramatically. So you have to attend the county meetings, particularly when you have a county controlled issue. Now, I will say this, I do not always agree with the county. They would love to have our water system. And I have fought vigorously to maintain the independence of the town's water system so that we do not have escalating water bills. But you have to participate in the county affairs and go to those county meetings. You don't have to attend every one, but certainly you have to understand the linkage between those issues that are both town and county. Now, I'm going to say this. We don't have a boat town tax, by the way. I'll correct Rod on that. One of the first things I did was to remove.
Okay, thank you, Steve. We move now to Barbara Hartley. If elected mayor, what would be your vision as the top 2 or 3 priorities for the town over the next 2 years?
Oh my goodness, I have so many ideas. First, I think you need to bloom where you're planted. And I know that you touched on offering some economic development money toward tourism and what better things can you do? Well, right now, the best industry that we have going for us is tourism. It's either the number 1 or number 2 industry in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And we have just been piddling that away. We've got the John Mitchell map. I know it's only one map, but we've got a town museum, which has been closed for almost the whole year. We have had some things done to improve it, but there was no reason for it to be closed all this time. We need to get that back open, and we need to resume the marketing of it that we had been lively doing up until 2 years ago. We also, but that's just one part, because we still have got to work with the county, with the other museum systems. We need to work with the waterways, because we have historic tourism, but we also have water related tourism. And then the other thing, which would be completely new, which of course I have brought up, is I would love to see us build and operate a year-round swimming pool, not just one that is inside, but I mean one that can be opened up in the summer with at least one glass wall that you can open up. So it's an indoor-outdoor pool. I know this is a huge expense, not only to build, but also to operate. But my goodness, what that could do for the town as far as economic development goes, not only recreation, but health incentives. You could have people of all ages in there going and attending water aerobics and OT and PT, and you could have a swimming team practicing all year. You could have lap swimming, all kinds of things. And I envision this to be actually the cornerstone of further economic development so that you can bring in other related, health-related industries that can come into town, develop some businesses, develop some economic development. And
Okay, thank you, Barbara. Moving along, we go to the next mayoral candidate, Diane Gravatt. What do you view as the most important duties and responsibilities of the mayor position?
Well, according to our town charter, the mayor is more of a figurehead than anything else. Our responsibility is to maintain run the meetings, make sure things are running, and to encourage the council to move forward on things. So I think that's the most important part of that, is keeping the meetings running, keeping the agenda going. And then also as a figurehead, you can be able to speak with people, manage what is happening with the different community activities, and encourage them. Also, I attend all of the meetings at the county. I try to make all of the planning commission meetings and all of those things. And I think that's important in establishing a good relationship with the county. We have a lot of things going on with them, in conjunction with them. Obviously, we're working on a new water system. And as Mayor or Mr. Hollberg said, he has worked to make sure that that doesn't leave our area. And so I try to work with the staff and make sure that we are constantly on top of whatever's going on. I think we need to keep those projects going. We keep the council members active and working. And it's important that they all take a position and a part in that activity.
Okay, thank you, Diane. We move now to Bill Goldsmith. Okay, what type of landscaping improvements would you propose for Tabor Park?
When it comes to landscaping improvements, I think we need to start implementing the plan that we've already paid to have done, and start adding those things one at a time. It's designed to go in phases, and improving the grounds, certainly finishing the playground, which is already underway, is the way to go. We got a couple more pieces, as you know, that are scheduled to be put in, and then have the thing mulched and some safety pads put in so we can get that open. And that is in the works even as we speak. There's plenty to do with respect to just implementing the plan that we've already got set up, in terms of trying to find, and there's an RFP out for the new pool design, so that we can start trying to find funding for getting any pool back in there. But I think it's follow the plan in phases and improve the beds that are going to stay there for a while.
Okay, I think the questioner was specifically asking about landscaping. You went over a lot of other figures. What landscaping, like, what do you see as a need to be put in Tabor Park? I mean, don't look at me like that. This is a question that was.
No, I know, I understand. And I guess I'm questioning the term, because the design has specific things in terms of what areas are going to be open with grass and what areas are going to be in beds, and following the plan is the direction I would go.
Okay, that's good. All right, now, Bill, since I missed you first time, I'm going to give you another question here. What suggestions would you have for the use of the town's easement where Payne's Crab House used to be? What do you want to see done with that?
Well, there's a couple things with respect to that. I think that the new initiative that we've instituted, where Larry's working on it with the small craft access, the canoes and kayaks and that sort of thing, so that they can get to the different, like the Museum in the Streets placards, the Museum in the Creek initiative that has already been instituted and Larry's working on it. Can you hear me? I'm not sure whether you can hear me or not, but I think that's the way to go. When it comes to dramatic improvements down there, I think we need to focus on the marina that we have in terms of getting floating docks, repairing the boat ramp, dealing with the culvert that goes into the marina, the roadway that goes past there, before we add to the town's infrastructure that needs to be maintained when we have to catch up on the other pieces of the park down there.
Right. Okay, thank you, Bill. So the next question goes to Larry Chowning. What can be done to enhance the relationship between council and the town business association?
Partnerships. We need to create partnerships between the two. We have the two, both of them have the same goals, many of the same goals. We need to look at those goals and try to enhance them and try to work together better. That's about
Okay.
it.
Anything else?
Well, partnerships is a big word, and that's something that as a town, we have not always understood. Sometimes they're little things, like what we did with the beautification committee recently, where we were providing a trash pickup at the picnic areas. That's a big deal. These are the type of things that we need to be looking for in regards to the business association, as well as with all the volunteer groups that we have. Volunteer groups are essential to Urbanna's progress and have been over the years. When we look at the things that are important, like the Urbanna Oyster Festival, where did that come from? It didn't come from town council. It came from volunteers. And we need not forget that. They're probably the most important thing we have. And a lot of times we ignore them. I don't give them enough. I don't try to help them enough so that they can do what they need to do.
Okay, thank you very much. The last question in this round will go to Marjorie Austin. In conversations with voters, residents, and business owners, there seems to be a concern that the town appears to run things independently of what residents and business owners want, namely better communication and transparency. What would you recommend to improve resident council communication?
Because I have had conversation with business owners and residents about the lack of communication. There is no transparency between the citizens, our friends, our family, and the council. And that's become very bothersome to them. The businesses don't believe that their voices are heard. We need to hear from them. We need to offer something to the businesses as a council to show that we care about them. I know some want their they think the mills taxes are too high, but there's a way that the council can promote our businesses, and there's a way that the transparency to the council can be to the citizens. If the citizen comes into a meeting and asks a question, they deserve an answer then, unless you can't give it to them. No debating, but to have a transparent, nobody knows what's going on. We have to be more transparent. And then we have to promote and stand up and stand by our businesses.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
That concludes the second round of questions. We move now to the third round. And we will start with Bill Goldsmith. What do you feel is the relationship between the duties and functions of the town staff, including the town attorney, and the duties, functions of the mayor and town council? How do all those entities work together, or how should they?
Right. The way it should flow is I look at as the mayor as the person who sets the agenda and helps the council identify the priorities. The council should establish the protocols and the direct the town staff to do the things that the council wants to have done. And the town attorney should only have input in circumstances where the issues presented by council into some sort of codification or proposed motion are going to be in conflict with existing laws and would therefore jeopardize the status of the town with respect to the legality of what they're trying to accomplish. In other words, Council sets the path, town staff implements the path, mayor allows the direction of the agenda, and the mayor and the attorney is there to make sure that we're following all the laws of the Commonwealth.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next question will be for Diane Gravatt. If elected mayor, what would be your vision as to the top 2 or 3 priorities for the town over the next 2 years?
Oh, number one is our wells and our water system. We need to finish repairing those wells, or getting the hydrants back up, getting new hydrants in and new locations. The water committee's been working on that diligently to see to it that we have new water rates, that we have the ability to do that. Finances is probably our next biggest goal. We've got to make sure that we keep the budget straight, that we manage the budget intently. I think that the staff has done a good job in doing that. The council has been diligent in making sure that they fund as they go the things that they're doing. They've been able to pay for the new equipment in the park. And I think that we need to continue to make the town a little bit better in terms of what we need to do to encourage the recreation and the historic development of the town. We need to encourage tourism and keep that going. And so those things are all terribly important to us. This council has done an absolutely fantastic job in moving forward, and they have accomplished more than any of the councils I've seen in the last 20 years. We've had a lot done, but I think that they've accomplished a great deal. And so I think it's important that we continue on that stead and that we keep doing those things. It takes time. Government doesn't move fast. And so it takes time to get things done. But I think the council's moving in the right direction.
Okay, thank you very much, Diane. The next question comes for the other mayoral candidate, Barbara Hartley. How might you as the mayor go about gathering input for identifying projects, concerns, and improvements that are important to town residents, businesses, and organizations?
Well, first I would make a very basic change. Our town council has in the past appointed various committees, and different members of the town council have sat on and or chaired the committees. And this is not a bad practice, except that we often have redundant committees. If you already have a volunteer organization in town that is working exclusively towards certain things, like you've got the Friends of Urbanna Museum and Parks that is really concerned with the museum and potentially with other parks, why not, instead of having a museum committee, incorporate that existing volunteer committee as your advisory committee to town council? Don't duplicate it. Use the people that are already doing it. We've got the Urbanna Beautification Committee. We've got the Urbanna Business Association. We've got several other volunteer organizations that they are the heartbeat of the town. These are the people that make things happen. They don't get paid for it. They have a passion for it. And we should incorporate them directly, bring the ideas, bring the problems to us, help us with planning events and economic development, instead of just turning them away and say, well, no, we don't need you. We want to do it ourselves, which was done in the past couple of years. I think that we can, not only will that help us direct the town into doing what people are actually thinking about and feeling, but it will improve communications all the way around and improve morale as well.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question goes to Steve Hollberg. If elected or re-elected to town council, what do you see as the most pressing issue which needs to be addressed, and how would you work with the council to address the problem?
Well, in my opinion, one of the greatest challenges that we have is just how to encourage team play. I'll encourage the mayor, whoever's elected, to seek out the opinions of each of the members of council in work sessions and allow the public to actively engage and express concerns at work sessions, public meetings, and other media. by the time we reach a formal town public meeting, the critical issues should have been worked out without council members being surprised by last-minute motions and calls for votes. I mean, communication is absolutely key. And we need to keep the team focused on its priorities and working together and not clashing. I think one of the things that I've been impressed by is the number of committees that we have that only have one person on them. And it's very frustrating to have, committees of one that are based, and that speaks to Barbara's point about redundancy. You don't need most of the committees you've got. What you need is an ad hoc attack on a specific problem by a volunteer group. But standing committees in a small community like what we have are very difficult to populate. You haven't got enough volunteers. So, keep a tight, close group, engage the public, be friendly. When you see people on the street, talk in a friendly manner, return phone calls, that kind of thing. And keep the communication going. But this practice of not returning phone calls from the mayor and other members of council, that's really cutting against their common goals.
Okay.
Yeah, I filed a FOIA request back in August. I still haven't got a statement of financial position. And we got a $38,000 accounting system now. So, we got some work to do.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Steve. We go now to Merri Hanson. The next question, let's get her unmuted. If you are re-elected to council, what is your vision for the town of Urbanna?
Wow, that is quite a broad, imaginative kind of exercise to think of what the vision is for the town of Urbanna. I envision an Urbanna that welcomes growth with new families who are eager to leave the cities. We need to have amenities, we need to have services, we need to have recreational opportunities that attract them as well as other visitors, as well as our citizens. So that's part of the vision that I see. Another part of the vision that I see is identifying sustainable businesses that meet our needs, meet our interests, that make the most of our history and our waterways. Those are two of the features that we have going for us that many other towns like Warsaw or Tappahannock that have fabulous town administrators who are doing a lot to really promote those towns. We need that kind of leadership in the town offices as well. That's another big part of my vision for the town of Urbanna. I want an inclusive town, one that welcomes newcomers, ones that welcomes not only those who have been at it the longest, like Larry, who has such amazing historical knowledge and wisdom of how things happen. I asked Larry a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I said, what was the heyday of Urbanna? Larry's one of my neighbors here on Watling Street. And he hearkened back to a time when there was industry on the waterfront, the town was diverse, it was racially diverse, and there were thriving businesses in town. And I thought it was such a great vision. And it was fun to hear Larry talk a little bit, point in that direction, but pointing forward in that direction tonight. That's part of my vision for Urbanna.
Thank you very much, Merri. Rule changes were made by the current council as to how meetings were conducted and the mechanisms for public input. How would you modify these rules to allow for greater participation?
Well, first thing I think is that we have to have more community input at our meetings. There's not many people that show up. There's always one or two or three, and they're always the same, but we need to have more community input so the council can act on these things. The public comment section of the meetings, I believe, is adequate. It follows along with what the county does. But we also added in to where we can respond to those public comments and maybe answer some questions for them. But the first thing we need to do basically is get people to come to the meetings. That is how they're going to get their issues in front of the council, and so the council can act on them.
Thank you very much. The next question comes from Marjorie Austin. What do you see as the top 3 challenges for town management? Top 3 challenges for town management.
Allowing the administrator to do the job at hand. The attorney staying in his office unless called upon to, for whatever reason, excuse me, not so-called running our town. Let whoever's in administration do that job, following a job description, and for the mayor to stay out of the running of the town in that aspect. The management needs to be able to do their job without having a thumb on top of them. If they need help, if there's questions, if things come up, it shouldn't be everything that's brought to town has to come to council and make sure that it's okay with the council that they do their job.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last question in this round would go for Larry. Okay, what measures would you propose to help the town of Urbana during the COVID-19 pandemic? What measures would you propose to help the town of Urbana during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, COVID-19 has been devastating to our community. It's taken away our schools. It's taken away our pool. It's taken away all kinds of activities. It's taken away the Urbana Oyster Festival. I think we've been doing things. And some of the things that we've been doing have worked. And initially, the restaurants wanted us to help them, and by coming up with some funds to give back some meals tax. Well, we didn't do that. Maybe we should, or maybe we shouldn't. But our restaurants have been extremely innovative in the fact that the meals tax is better than it has been for some time. So things are working there, even though we didn't do anything. They are doing things. The community itself is doing things. As far as the town, we've got funds that are available to folks in town. I think we should be more proactive in trying to find ways to get this money to the folks that need it, whether it's business or whatever it is. The town itself is using that money to pay for things like computers that we're using for Zoom type meetings and other things. But we need to look for more ways to use those funds that will be helpful not only to the town government, but to others in our community.
Okay, thank you. And that should conclude the third round of questioning. And at this point, we move to everyone having a last shot to summarize what their qualifications are and why they want to be on council, or any other summarizing kind of statement that you want to make at the end. And you'll have the same 2 minutes and the same warning system to do that. And we're going to start with Merri this time. Merri, your closing statement.
I want to thank George, you, and those who have hosted this forum to give us an opportunity to share our views with the citizens and voters of Urbana, so that you have an opportunity to think about the kind of council that is actually going to move forward the things that you care about in this town. And someone like me who has the tools professionally, decades of profession in helping organizations and groups that could function much better than they are, and to do so and to thrive. And that's what I would bring to this council, and a team player that's supportive of other council members, supportive of the staff, while also trying to bring about effective change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Merri. We move now to Bill Smith, since Rod is among the missing. Bill, your summarizing statement, your summary statement.
The current council has worked together and accomplished many priority items that have not been processed or completed in many years. I ran initially on the idea of moving the town forward, getting these items completed, and we have done that. But there are many items and challenges still facing Urbana that need to be addressed and completed. If I'm reelected, I will strive to continue the trend set by the current council. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, we move now to Marjorie Austin. Your summarizing statement.
I was on council, previous council 2 years ago, and I'm VML trained. I was as green could be when I was originally elected. I've been through all the VML training webinars, and that now I know what is expected, not just through training, but through our residents, through our businesses, and what the path that we need to take to make the council a council for the people, not of the people. So that's my goal, is to work with volunteers, have the businesses get what they need, the volunteers to do work and not push people away, and to have an open and transparent government.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Larry Chowning.
There are things that I consider essential to the town's long-term health. Some are to continue to move forward on improving our water system. 3 cheers to our current water committee. Continue to encourage Hampton Road Sanitation District to stop discharging effluent of town sewage into Urbanna Creek. And thank you, Pete Mansfield and the Middlesex County Board of Supervisors, for your support on this. Maintaining our sidewalks and encouraging Virginia Department of Transportation to maintain theirs. That's a high priority of mine. Continue to maintain town-owned assets, town hall, museum, marina, parks. Continue to monitor Urbanna Creek channel depth inside and outside of the creek, and discourage any further waterfront commercial development movement further out towards the channel. The creek is the town's greatest asset, and it's a public asset that needs to stay public. Providing a park with an affordable pool, tennis courts, accessible to those living in and outside of Urbanna, and continued support of our fire department, our rescue squad, and Middlesex County Public Libraries. They are essential to quality of life here in our community. I will listen to all sides. If you come to me, I will listen to you. And I'll take a stand one way or another on what I think is right.
Thank you very much, Larry. Next up is Bill Goldsmith. Get him set. There we go. You're still muted, Bill.
I'm working on it. There we go.
There you go. Okay.
All right. I guess what I have to say in closing is that I'm more than happy to stand on the record that I have in the 2 years that I've been here. Merri Hanson called me and wanted to know what she thought I needed to tell her about what to do with council. And if I remember correctly, I told her, show up, listen, and be willing to work. And that's what I've tried to do. I have never not returned an email. I have never not answered a question when it was appropriate. But anyhow, when you look at the candidates that are out there, Merri Hanson has great organizational skills. She obviously might be an asset. Rod McMordie has been working in civil engineering for his adult career out of the Army, and we have 2 wells to drill. Dave Lipscomb is a person who works in IT and marketing, and people are trying to figure out how to get people into this town and how to continue it. That's a perfect choice for something to continue the town's assets going forward. And Jamie Vyers represents new families, young people that we need to get onto this council to get younger people into it, to have some continuity going forward, because all the rest of us are old folks. So anyhow, that's my take on it. I look forward to serving another 2 years on council and finishing up the projects. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. We move now to Diane Gravatt.
Well, I want to thank the people that put on the forum. There's been lots of questions asked and lots of information given. I think it's important at this time that we recognize that anybody who serves on the council has an obligation to come to that council prepared, ready to work, and to actually work. They can't show up for 2 hours twice a month and put in their vote. They need to be aware of what's going on. They need to keep the council moving forward. And I think that if you look at what this council has done, they have accomplished so much. And I think that's extremely important. I've heard a lot tonight about things that didn't happen, And yet we have accomplished almost all of the goals that we put forward in the beginning when we first met with the town and when we talked about the parks and put together a list of priorities. The council members have, some of the council members have worked really hard, and I appreciate that. But I think whoever's elected, the town's going to make that decision, and whoever's elected, I hope will work forward and keep a positive attitude and continue to help Urbanna grow and develop. I think that's extremely important. I think we all want that. We all care about this town, and we want to see it grow and be successful in that. We have some very diligent people in our businesses that are working hard to help the town, and I think that's important. We should be encouraging them. So I think that the population, the citizens of Urbanna, need to think carefully about who they put in office and who they put there to get I'm viewing one of my council candidates. But I think it's extremely important that we look for what's going on and follow through.
Okay, thank you very much, Diane. Now we go to the other mayoral candidate, Barbara Hartley, for your concluding statement.
I'm
Okay,
unmuted.
Barbara, you're on.
All right, thank you so much. And thank you, all of you who put this on. And I know it took a lot of work and it's been a little bit problematic, but that's where we are. So I have high creative energy and a vision for economic development and the quality of life issues, as well as a background in community and business development and years of work with legislative affairs. I'm committed to openly communicating what and how things are being done to the extent that the public policy allows. And I don't like to waste time in fruitless meetings. I prefer to get things done rather than discussing them ad nauseum, although many things need to be discussed over and over again because you have a lot of people to bring information in, but I like to keep it succinct if we can and moving forward. I am committed to the team effort, and I understand the importance of a 7-member town council. You know, any one of us can present what we think is an amazing idea, but then when we get the perspectives of the other 6 people, they can find the faults with it, or they can find improvements for it, or they can say, well, you know, that sounds good, but no, we got a better idea moving forward. This is why you have 7 people with 7 different sets of skills working as a team instead of one person trying to run the whole thing. And so this is the best thing, working together with people, not only with the town council, but also involving the citizenry in it. As I've said before, get the citizens in there as part of it. My ideas would include procedural modifications, streamlining workflow and responsiveness at the town hall, and replacing, as I said, the redundant committees with existing volunteer organizations for event planning and promotions.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And now we have the cleanup guy, the last one tonight, and that is going to be Steve Hollberg.
All right, I'd just like to thank the organizers of this little event tonight so that we have an opportunity to display to the public, a little bit about our background and what our approach is. I'd like to say that the magic of Urbanna is in managing the resources that we have with the folks that we have who are willing to work. We've got a lot of great resources. The marina is one of them. Our business community is another. Our restaurants are key. But we also have residents that need to have their needs met. We need to get everybody communicating a little bit better so that everybody feels like they're a stakeholder with some value in the conversation. Taxpayers should vote for me because I have a great love and a respect for the town and its resources. I grew up in Middlesex. I've raised my family here. I'm trained to identify problems, cut waste, and control costs. But I've also demonstrated a great ability to work with the business community when I was mayor. One of the things that we did was we cut the boat taxes here in the town of Urbanna, and that was to encourage the development of the new marina after the old one burned. And we wanted to make sure that we encouraged the business of boats here on our side of the creek so that they didn't go over to the Middlesex side. You know, they were encouraged to stay here. So that was one of the things that we did early on. And it's an example of the type of approach that I would take, and I would encourage the rest of council to take, is, you know, keep an eye on the business community, but also while you're keeping an eye on the importance of our water system, our water resources, and how they're managed, and our other assets like the town museum and the library and so forth. All these assets are not in a particular.
So that should conclude the session for tonight. I want to thank all the participants for being here and taking part in this. And I hope for the citizens who are on that it was informative. It will help you know a little bit more about the candidates. So thank you all for coming on, and vote. Don't forget to vote.